Today, we are diving into a massive standoff between one of AI's biggest stars and, well, the world's most powerful military. This is a story about artificial intelligence, unbelievable power, and two red lines that could literally change the game. And it all kicked off with this bombshell from the Pentagon. For the very first time, a major American tech company was officially labeled a threat to national security. I mean, that's a label usually saved for foreign enemies, not a homegrown innovator. So that's the big question here, right? How on earth did we get to this point? How does a company at the absolute cutting edge of the AI revolution find itself in a head-to-head public fight with the US government? To figure that out, we've got to go back to the beginning. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the firestorm itself. Because what went down here, well, it's something we have just never seen before with a major American company. So after weeks of really tense back and forth, the Trump administration just brought the hammer down. The entire US government was ordered to stop using Anthropic's AI. And just like that, more than $200 million in federal contracts were basically torn up. It was a direct, shocking, and punitive move. So why? What could possibly spark such a drastic firestorm? Well, it all boils down to a really fundamental disagreement, a clash of principles that centers on two very, very clear red lines. And here is the absolute core of the conflict. On one side, you've got the Pentagon. They demanded complete, unrestricted access to Anthropic's AI for any lawful military use. But Anthropic? They said no. They argued that their AI could not cross certain ethical boundaries that they had built into its foundation. So what were these red lines? Well, there are two. First, Anthropic flat out refuses to let its AI be used for mass surveillance of American citizens. Second, it will not allow its technology to power fully autonomous weapons, the kind that operate with no human in the loop. The company's argument is that the AI just isn't reliable enough for those kinds of life and death decisions. What's really important here is the human angle. Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei didn't just frame this as a corporate policy. He framed it as a moral and safety issue. He's arguing it's about preventing friendly fire or stopping a system without human judgment from causing civilian casualties. Now, to really grasp the weight of this standoff, you have to understand who we're talking about here. This is not some small, idealistic startup. This is an absolute titan of the new economy. Just look at these numbers for a second, because Anthropic's growth is it's astronomical. We're talking about a company going from a $1 billion revenue run rate at the end of 2024 to a projected $26 billion in 2026. That is one of the fastest growth curves in the history of tech, period. And it's not just about growth. It's about pure market dominance. By late 2025, Anthropic had already captured 40% of the super lucrative enterprise AI market, blowing past its main rival, OpenAI. And get this, 85% of its revenue comes from those business customers. So you take all that growth, all that market share, and it leads to this, a staggering, almost unbelievable valuation of $350 billion. And that's the key takeaway here. Anthropic has the financial muscle and the market influence to make a stand like this matter on a global stage. But here's where it gets even messier, because Anthropic doesn't operate in a vacuum. It's stuck in this tangled, complicated web of tech giants who are all partners, investors, and competitors all at the same time. So to really get this industry, you have to understand two things. First is this idea of co-opetition, where you cooperate even as you compete. The second is circular transactions, and this one is wild. It's where a tech giant, say, invests billions in an AI lab, and then that AI lab immediately pays that money right back to the giant to use its cloud computing services. It's a very clever, self-serving loop. And you can see that whole dynamic playing out right here. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, they've all poured billions into Anthropic. But these deals aren't just cash infusions. They come with strings attached, huge commitments to use their cloud platforms. It's a symbiotic and incredibly complex relationship, with tens of billions of dollars just flowing in circles between these frenemies. Now, Anthropic's really genius move was playing the field. By partnering with everyone, they made themselves cloud agnostic, which is just a fancy way of saying they aren't dependent on any single provider like Amazon or Google. This strategy made them an absolutely essential partner for all the major players, which is exactly what makes the Pentagon's ban so incredibly disruptive to the entire tech ecosystem. So where does this all go from here? Let's unpack what this unprecedented clash really means for the future of AI, for national security, and for the very structure of the tech industry as we know it. You see, the Pentagon's move here is way broader than it looks. The goal isn't just to stop Anthropic from getting government contracts. It's to sever its ties with any company that does business with the military. And that list includes its biggest partners, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. The language experts are using is stark. Dean Ball, a former White House AI advisor, did not mince words. He argues that if this declaration from the Pentagon is fully enforced, it would be a death blow to the company. He called it an attempt at corporate murder. But Anthropic is firing right back. They're framing their defiance not as anti-American, but as the ultimate act of patriotism. CEO Dario Amodei is basically saying that their red lines are there to protect American values, and that challenging the government is a fundamental American right. And that leaves us with this final critical question. You see, this whole standoff is about more than one company or one contract. It's about the future of power itself. When a private company's code becomes essential to a country's security, who gets to decide how it's used? The creator or the state? That's the question we're all going to have to face.